Hi there, this is Marty from owingsart.com, and today we're going to take a look at these Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarelle pencils. Now, if that's kind of a fancy name for a water-soluble graphite pencil. Faber-Castell is a German company. They've been making great art supplies for a few hundred years, and you can count on them in general for good quality, and that's what I'll test today. I'll test some of the quality here, and I'll test how good these pencils perform individually, and then I'll do a few sketches with them just to give you a feel for the kind of effects and things you can do with these pencils. It's pretty neat. If you've never tried like a graphite wash before, and maybe you've never even heard that term or didn't even know that you could actually find graphite pencils that you can add water to and create some really neat, not only watercolor effects, but just effects in general. Graphite wash has sort of got its own specialty, and there's many great artists out there who do work with using graphite washes, and there's different methods to do it. One is to apply it with apply the pencil dry, like I'm going to show you here, and then just add the water. There's other ways to do it where you can get graphite liquid, I should say water-soluble graphite in a tin, and you can apply it with a brush or your finger, or different ways like that. And a lot of different companies make graphite wash pencils or water-soluble graphite. So here I'm going to test the 2H, or the HB, the 2B, the 4B, the 6B, and the 8B. Generally the Bs are softer in scale, so this goes really to the soft side of the scale, and you can see they all go on dry sort of the same way. Now if I press hard or whatever, I could get sort of heavier, darker lines with the 8B, but you can see here they'll get progressively darker as I go along, because there's a softness to these pencils the higher they go in the number scale. And you can check out other videos I have where I talk about graphite pencils in general and the number scale and all that stuff, from hard to soft. So what I'll do next here is I'm just going to draw a figure, a couple of portrait figures here, and I'm using this watercolor paper. It's a little heavier, but you don't have to be concerned with that really. You could use just basically any sketchbook paper you have, as long as it can hold a little bit of water. You don't want to soak it too much, but like I use a moleskin book once in a while, and it's got, I think it's 70-pound paper, which is about the lowest I'd ever go, where you're going to add any kind of wet media to it. And even then you have to be careful. So anywhere from like 75 to 85, 90-pound paper would be just fine. But I use some watercolor paper here just to, because I want to add just a little bit more water than I maybe ordinarily would. So, here I'm just going to take and lay in a really light outline, and I believe this is the HB I'm using here for that. So that's an HB is going to give you this really light color, or value, I should say. And you can see here, it goes on dry, just like you would any other graphite pencil, so you don't have to worry. It doesn't turn to liquid or anything like that. But when you go to add the water to this, it just, like I'm showing right above there when I tested out the individual pencils, really adds some neat effect, and you could do a lot of different things with these. A lot of great artists out there use graphite washes to get different effects. Could be shadow, could be highlights, or just kind of blending in where it doesn't look smudgy. You want to get a smoother look, a more realistic look to a cast shadow or something like that. This is a good way to go. So here again, dry pencil, and I'm going in with a little heavier weight, or softer pencil here, I should say. So this is like a 6B that I'm using. Just sketching in some of the little detail here. You don't have to use a lot of pencil here, or lead, I should say. You just have to lay down a little, because once you lay down you can see here as I add the water to the marks on the pencil marks on the paper, you can start light, and once this is dry, you can go over the top of it again. So you don't really have to worry about, like, is this my last chance to improve this drawing or anything like that. You'll see I'll demonstrate that here in a second. So give it a little chance to dry, and then I go in and add some more marks right over the areas I've already done. One important thing to remember when you're doing graphite wash is that, first of all, once you lay it down, like once you wet it and lay it down, it's really hard to erase or go back. So always try to go light to dark if you can. Start as light as possible and then darken it. If you go too dark at first, it's going to really be hard to get back that light space. So, you have to sort of map and plan out your drawing a little in advance. And if you do a little bit of that planning up front, even if it's just mental planning, you're going to find yourself in a much better situation toward the end of the drawing than you will if you don't plan that out. You get too dark to start with. So light to dark again, and that's going to help you a lot. And don't forget, it's going to be very difficult to erase the graphite once it's been wet. I mean, there's some other techniques, and that's probably a whole topic for another video, but that reductive technique or removing, color value, things like that. But here I'm going to try to do an additional portrait here. I like the way this guy's kind of eyes were looking off to the one side, and he just had kind of an interesting face with these big ears, so I thought I'd give it a try here. It's not perfectly balanced, but again, these are quick like sketches you'd find in a sketchbook or whatever. And that's another thing that's what's great about using this graphite wash. So if you carry your sketchbook with you and you're, say, a painter or somebody who does, other work, you can knock out a sketch pretty quickly using these and just carrying this little pocket water brush with you. And you can get back later and reference that and say, okay, now I understand where the cast shadow was. A lot of people will say, well, why don't you just whip out your cell phone and take a picture? And you can do that too. I'm not against using the technology that we have available to us now by any means, and I do it too. I'm just saying, if you want to have a more artistic rendering of what you see, you can use this graphite wash, which is great for that. So here I'm just working in some darker areas with ink now. There's a whole bunch of work you can do with ink wash too. So ink washes, and yeah, well, I'll have to get to that as well in 2016. One of my commitments here is to do sort of more drawing and technique demonstrations, as well as the product reviews that a lot of subscribers come to the channel for. But a lot of subscribers have been asking me, can you do more drawing demonstration or painting demonstration? Can you show us this technique or that? And I plan to do more of that. So here's an example where I did a couple of faces, and here's an architectural rendering. So I mean, this is just a view of a building, a factory building actually, but I'm just going to freehand this, and I'll show you some of the techniques you can get from the graphite wash here, and some ink as well. But my point being is that I plan in 2016 to try to get back to doing some more drawing demonstrations and painting demonstrations, things like that. So you can actually learn how to put the art materials that I review to good use. And there's lots of people doing that on YouTube, and there's some really great and fantastic artists out there that can demonstrate various drawing techniques. And it's not like I want to compete with them at all. It's just like I feel like channel subscribers are asking for it. I can do it. Why not share the information if I can? So anyway, that's my plan, 2016. Hope to get around to that. Plus I have a huge backlog of just all kinds of different product reviews that people have requested over the couple years I've been doing this, and I try to get to all of them, but you know, probably don't move as fast as some people want me to. But there you go. That's 2016, and that's what's coming up for me. Plus also 2016, I want to do get back to doing the Art Adventures series. So if you haven't checked those out, those are on the channel as well. I think we had 10 episodes last season, and I call them episodes. They're really just heading out sketching with me. And but I think I had some cool ones last year, and I got a great response from the channel. So I think I'm going to you know, do that, try it again for another season. There's already some big plans in the works for that, so I hope you can check that out when I start doing that. So you see how I apply this water right to the graphite, and it just melts the pencil marks away, and just really neat effects. I mean, that's quite a bit smoother than I would have gotten trying to, you know, smudge it or take a burnisher to it. I kind of like the way that comes out. And I've seen some really neat work by artists who just use this technique to kind of show you know, movement or motion, whether it's physical motion by a person in a figure sketch, or like there's this one artist, and his name is escaping me right now. Maybe I'll add it to the comments section if I can remember it. But there's this artist who goes to construction sites, and you know, the big shovels that pick up dirt, you can see the bits of dirt dropping from the shovel. He does all that with ink and graphite washes, and it's pretty amazing. So so here I'm just filling a little bit of this drawing in with ink, and I have this white gel pen too, so I can add some white back in. That's pretty handy. See, okay, there's a good example of how the pen goes down, or the pencil goes down, and you can see sort of that graphite texture, but now here's a great cast shadow. Just kind of has a neat, interesting look and feel to it. So now I think I'll try to use the eraser here. First I'll try the dry part, which, as you would expect, it erases quite nicely. I mean, no big deal, right? It's just like pencil marks, and you erase it on the paper. This particular paper, because it's watercolor, has a little bit more tooth to it, but it still erases quite nicely. Now, like I mentioned before, it's really difficult to erase the color once you wet it, and so I was just demonstrating it. You can't really do that. So, well, I think that just about wraps it up for the Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarelle or Graphite Wash pencils. It was fun to look at them today, and if you haven't left a comment or a question, or you have something you'd like to share, please do so in the comments section of the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video if it was helpful. This has been Marty for owingsart.com. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a great day.